The fastest way to exhaust a strong team isn't weak leadership. It's leadership that depends on urgency to access clarity. If you're a strong operator, this may feel familiar. When things get quiet, your mind starts searching for the next pressure point. Not because something is wrong, but because calm doesn't always feel like traction. Sometimes it feels like drift, and pressure restores orientation. Your team experiences that pattern as instability. Many leaders operate extremely well during crisis. Decisions become sharp, focus increases, execution speeds up. Pressure creates clarity, but clarity creates a different experience. When there are no fires, no escalations, no immediate problems to solve, orientation can start to fade. Calm doesn't always feel productive. Sometimes it feels like exposure. And when that happens, leaders start restoring pressure. They scan for problems, introduce new initiatives, raise standards mid-execution, escalate timelines. And on the surface, it looks like strong leadership, but something else is happening. Every time stability appears, pressure returns. Execution becomes reactive. Teams wait for escalation before acting. Because over time, people learn what actually creates movement, not clarity, not rhythm. Escalation. Instead of stable execution rhythms, the organization moves through urgency cycles. Pressure appears, focus returns, pressure disappears, confusion follows. Over time, this creates fatigue, not because teams are weak, but because the system has trained people to respond to activation. Eventually, urgency becomes the leadership operating system, and once that happens, the culture starts adapting to pressure instead of clarity. Strategy time disappears into urgent work. Decision pacing accelerates and then collapses. Teams become excellent firefighters, but inconsistent operators, and people stop trusting stability. Calm no longer feels like traction, it feels like waiting. So the organization starts creating movement just to feel aligned again. From the outside, the company looks busy. Inside, it feels unstable. That's the cost of urgency-dependent leadership. It can create movement, but it rarely creates compounding execution. Leaders operate somewhere on what I call the activation-regulation continuum. On one side, clarity depends on pressure. Decisions sharpen when urgency appears, but when pressure drops, orientation drops with it. On the other side, clarity holds steady regardless of environment. Decision pacing stabilizes, execution compounds. Organizations scale without volatility. The real leadership shift isn't becoming more intense or becoming more disciplined. It's becoming less dependent on pressure for clarity, because scale requires leaders who can remain clear even when nothing is wrong. This pattern shows up frequently when we are working with executive teams that are scaling quickly. What looks like strong leadership on the surface is often a system that depends on pressure to maintain clarity. And that dependency eventually limits execution reliability. When urgency becomes the leadership operating system, organizations can move fast, but they rarely scale smoothly. Stable execution requires leaders who can hold clarity even when nothing is wrong. You're not broken. You're trained. Now, go find some peace.